All right. Yo, what is up, everybody? It is your boy, MM2K of PNTS Network and CloudDosage, and I'm here with a special co-host this week, our good friend, Vet Cloud Gamer, streamer and podcaster extraordinaire. How you doing, my good friend?
I am doing fantastic. We had a bit of fun as soon as I saw. I got a bit giddy when I got an email from a certain company.
Yeah.
So
for those of you that
I was like,
no, go ahead, Vet.
Oh no! I was just to say it's like a school. I'm like a schoolgirl. They're jumping around for joy when I saw that email, just because I knew what was going to happen.
Kid in a candy store, man.
Yep.
So I will say this, that if you guys aren't following me on social media, you may have missed this. I sent out a tweet. Those of you that are not listening to this live, and you're listening to this on Saturday, you may have missed my tweet on Friday when I went holy-ish, sitting here chatting with Vet Cloud Gaming, and he just dropped a bomb on me, dropped an inferno. Vet is here because he has some special Boosteroid news, and I think he's the perfect person to be here as well. I don't know if Lo-Fi's gonna hop in there. He probably won't, because I think he has some other obligations, but Vet is the perfect person to be in here to talk about this news that he's gonna drop on us, and he's going to talk about, then we're going to talk about Xbox and some other things that me and him like really are on the same wavelength about. So I think it's going to be a great discussion. But Vet, before we get into any of this stuff, can you let the good people know what it is that you do, man? Like, what's the content that you create and how often you do it?
It's basically gaming content. I jump in and around. I had a podcast, a cloud gaming news podcast with Dr. Spaceman, but we shut that down because he veered off to the PlayStation route. But
PlayStation,
I think it seems like the PlayStation Cloud side of things is rearing its head as soon as he ended the one podcast that started it up. But I love PlayStation as much as everybody else, so I do that. But I stream mostly PC cloud gaming. It's GFN, it's Boosteroid. Although I'm a little bit more involved with Boosteroid than I am GFN as of late. And then I did a Nintendo Switch Mario Kart stream. I did I've done PlayStation streams because I've got the PlayStation Cloud service locked in for a year. But I also have a sports show that I do on Tuesday nights with my good friend Ray Sherrod, the gaming cyborg, who I'm sure everyone out there on the internet knows. Well, at least the gaming side of things. So we do that every Tuesday night. So I do have some other non-gaming things I do, but for the most part, I'm heavily invested and involved in the cloud gaming community, and I usually make my way everywhere.
No, definitely does. He's putting in the work, and that's the important thing. That's why I cherish talking to my good brother about things going on in gaming, not just cloud, but gaming, because Vet is someone that I feel like we're cut from the same cloth. When we have a question, we go and we seek the answer. Where we love the cloud community, but sometimes when they have a question, they get into barbershop talk. You know what I mean? Where they're like, oh, they just come up with these grand conspiracy theories. We're about to bust one of those grand conspiracy theories. I'm gonna let Vet do that in a quick second, but I want to put this up here from Dusty Aran because this is a hell of a comment. Dusty says, look, I'm gonna be honest. I love and still follow the cloud community, and I still use it, but I started following the general gaming community more. And I told him I'm with you, Dusty. And the reason being is that we were talking about in the member section a little bit. And if you want to hear that, become a member. You'll get a lot of great content. Vet and in the chat and I were talking about how things are caveated, things are conspiracy theory laced, and they're not researched. And there's a lot of barbershop talk and not a lot of analysis going on. So we try to be something different. We hope that you appreciate it. Even if the majority of the ears are focused on the barbershop talk, at least you know where you can go. You can come talk to a Vet Cloud Gaming. You can come talk to an MM2K. And there's others out there that will give you pure hands-on analysis because we have experience on what we're talking about. With that said, I'm gonna turn it over to Vet. because our good brother got some serious news about Boosteroid that he's going to let everybody know. And if you're, again, watching this publicly on Saturday, you would have already gotten the news from Vet, but we're just going to embellish on that and talk about that together. So, Vet, I'm turning it over to you. Let the good people know what's going on with Boosteroid.
So, as we all know, the last few weeks, one of the biggest games that was available in the cloud was on their service was FIFA. FIFA 20, they had literally, I think, 20 through 23. And then they had to transition everything over from Origin to EA, just like GFN had and anybody else that has that. Well, I think those are the only two that had access to EA titles. So it caused this massive commotion in the community. Everybody was on board with, Boosteroid's over. They're done. They're shut down. This is the start. I told you so. And I was out there tweeting out, no, it's not that. This ain't the government pulling rank or EA pulling rank and saying, take our games off your service, because they had every other EA title. They had other EA titles available.
Exactly.
There was a bug or something was causing an issue with FIFA, EA, and Boosteroids, the way that they have the games loaded there and run. And then an hour ago, I was streaming and I happened to see an email come in from my contact with Boosteroid, and it said, "Hi, Aaron, we're glad to let you know that FIFA 21, 22, and 23 are back, and gamers can enjoy them on Boosteroid remote gaming desktop," which that is the install section for those that aren't aware, if they own the game. So you would access it via the EA app. The Steam version is not yet available, but it's expected to be back soon as well. And I paused for a moment during my own stream because I had to chuckle, because I know what was going to happen when I made that announcement. Because Twitter was, there were people, Boosteroid could add a game, and the only thing that people were talking about was FIFA. I'm surprised I didn't see Boosteroid trending on Twitter, because that was a big thing to get FIFA 23, but then to lose it. And a lot of people were upset because it was right around that World Cup time. That was a big thing, and it ticked off a lot of people, and I don't blame them. There were people in the subreddit that were saying, "Look, I just bought the game. It's not here. What do I do now? Do I get a refund?" And one of them asked Boosteroid if they were going to refund them their Steam purchase, and I was like, I didn't respond, but I laughed at that. I was like, that doesn't even make sense. It doesn't. That's like you. So the fact is, all the naysayers, all the haters out there that criticize Boosteroid the same way that these people criticize Stadia, one more thing that they can't criticize, because as I stated, they were working on this and they were working their best to get it back on there. It's back on there.
Amazing. I just, people got to understand how things work. I kind of talked about this in one of the solo, I think it was actually the last episode, where I kind of had a coming to Jesus moment with the community. And I told them, I said, it just doesn't make sense. You got to follow how digital media and stuff like that, how it's being regulated. If these people don't want this on their platform, and this was so illegal, the Boosteroid servers would have been shut down eons ago. So all this is illegal, and this is what happened when you don't follow section 5029898 BB Paul Mall, whatever shit, excuse me, this is a live show, whatever stuff y'all make up, it doesn't exist. That is right. You should be cognizant of, all right, do I want to buy this game to solely play on the install method? Because some things can be volatile inside of everybody's hands. Like every time they update Origins or they update Steam, they're not sitting there saying, how is this going to affect Boosteroid? Right? So it's kind of like, what's our good friend that was doing remember the Stadia enhanced plugin? And every time Stadia would make an enhancement, people would be like, they screwed, but they're not, as great as that enhancement is, they're not thinking about, every single plugin that people use, we got to make sure that we're in conjunction with that. And unfortunately, that's where cloud gaming is at right now. Sometimes decisions will be made that'll put us in a difficult spot, but until we get that respect, it's going to happen every now and again. Like Vet said, have some patience, have some understanding, and we got to make smart decisions. If you are buying a game that's simply being embedded on the install method, understand there is that possibility that something can go wrong inside of Boosteroid's hands, and it may not work temporarily, but it'll be fixed. But this has happened on GFN. People say, "Oh, but GFN." But this is. I remember when Death Stranding was gone for like weeks. Apex Legend was gone. My son is a GFN nut, and these games were gone for so long.
How about Portal with RTX?
Portal, come on,
the one
man.
that just, and it not only did as soon as it was added, I noticed this because I screenshot it. You would log in, error, couldn't even do anything.
Yeah.
It wasn't compatible with Steam, is what the error message was saying, and now all of a sudden it's offline for maintenance.
Yep.
So GFN has the same issues. Game's not compatible. It comes down to a compatibility technical thing that we're as gamers, we're not going to pay attention to that stuff. In essence, that's above our pay grade.
Yeah, exactly.
As a gamer, we just want to play the game.
Yeah.
And we get it. General public, general consumer is your average gamer. They don't care about that technical issue. If it stops working, they're not going to care what the issue is.
Yeah,
they're going to be like,
working
why
again.
isn't my game working?
Yep.
I'm going to go to Reddit, and I'm going to go to Twitter, and I'm going to complain because it's not fair that my game's not working.
But here's my issue with that, Vet. My problem is, okay, if I'm Joe Blow, like I got plenty of friends, I tell them, look, I do a podcast, come check me out. And they're like, okay, cool. And they're like, dude, I'm not watching no damn podcast. Like I'm a grown man. You know what I'm saying? There's people like that. They play games, but they're like, I'm not into the lore all like that. But for those of us that are in the community that watch the podcast, that pretend to be in the know, that's where my disappointment comes in, to where we should know better, because we're the ones with the biggest megaphones. Not just us as the content creators, but some of us that are in the community with the Twitter fingers and go out on the Reddit. Like, we should know better to better understand what it is that we're cascading before we cascade it. So, because the truth is out there. People are trying to tell it to you. You just got to be willing to listen,
Yeah.
So, but that's great. Now, Vet, there's something else. Now, stop me if we can't talk about that yet. But there's something else that
the other part, with Boosteroid, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can talk about it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because it's on it's on the website, so we're able to.
Cool. All right, go ahead, drop a gem on them, man.
So the other thing that was announced, so we know CES was it last week, this week, whenever.
Yeah.
I mean, it was over the weekend type thing.
Yep.
It's been the big thing with Sony and LG, Acer, all these, but LG stood out to me the most, and they had their announcement about this new TV that or certain thing that they were working on. And let me pull it up real quick. So Samsung has the Samsung Gaming Hub, which if you're in cloud gaming, you know what that is. Yep. LG just made the announcement that they are upping the ante by providing an expanded selection of gamer-centric services all in one place. So they're doing the exact same thing. What stands out to me the most with it is that not only will it will be on their newest TVs as they come out this year, but it will also work with the 2021, 2022 TVs, and even the 2020 models will now get access to this. So they're backdating like 3 years worth of TVs. Jesus. That will get an update to what they use as WebOS. Okay. So it'll get an update to WebOS 6.0, which allows you to get this really cool looking gaming hub. Mm-hmm. And it had access to NVIDIA. They already had access to Blacknut and Utomic. But the one thing with GFN that stood out to me is if you're on the 3080 tier and you want to game at 4K 60, you had to have a Shield TV Pro.
Yep.
Or I think the Samsung Gaming Hub had access to it also, but I'm not 100% sure. But with LG's announcement, you'll now have access to native 4K 60 FPS via the GFN on the latest TV. So I don't know if they'll update for the older ones, but going forward, every model that comes out in 2023 will have 4K 60. So you won't even need the Shield at that point. And on top of that, they added Amazon Luna. So Luna's getting another service, expanding again to another hardware platform that's not a Fire Stick or Fire TV. And Boosteroid. Yeah. They also partnered up with Boosteroid, which, we all know what people think, but and not only that, they're getting ready. They officially mentioned, like LG. This is what blows my mind is with the rhetoric that people think, the negative stuff they say about Boosteroid, yet LG officially mentioned their collaboration with Boosteroid and featured it as a part of the LG game card.
Yeah.
And if you go to the website, you can see Boosteroid's logo there.
Yeah.
So it's right down there at the bottom, was one of the new ones. So,
amazing.
That's another slap in the face for all those that just don't like Boosteroid because they get these games and don't understand the business side of it. And my thing is, it's not so much, you don't have to worry about the business side. You just have to understand like what sets them apart from all of the other cloud services.
Mm-hmm.
Boosteroid doesn't have anybody above them. They don't. They answer to themselves. They are their own company.
Mm-hmm.
They are a gaming company.
Yep.
GFN has to answer to NVIDIA.
Exactly.
Luna has to answer to Amazon.
Yes.
Xbox still has to answer to Microsoft, and PlayStation still answers to Sony. So they have a high, and it was the same thing with Stadia. Unfortunately, they had to answer to Google, that's the most unfortunate one. That was the unfortunate failure part on.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't Stadia.
It wasn't Stadia.
Stadia was one of the best services out there at the time, and it probably still would have been if it had been in anybody else's hands or a separate company.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
totally agree.
Boosteroid apart from everyone else, and why they can work out these deals quicker than like GFN. Yeah. GFN has to be like, hey, NVIDIA, we want to do a deal with this company. And even if I know there's boxes you can check with GFN to submit your games, but it still comes down to NVIDIA has to say yes or no. It doesn't matter if GFN's on board and this, Joe Blow developer is on board. NVIDIA still has the final say. They can be like, we don't want to work with them.
Yeah, exactly.
They will look at it. Boosteroid just says, all right, we're going to work with this company, and we can get it on there. That it may take a little bit because they still have to do the testing. It's the same kind of testing that GFN does, make sure it works with the service.
Yep.
And there's no compatibility issues, but that's what sets them apart. And people don't listen to that part. I can preach it till I'm blue in the face, and they're going to just tune that right out.
I totally agree. I think it's very wise for you to. That was some wisdom and a half. That if you really think about it, all these other companies have bigger shell companies that they got to weigh their decisions against. And look, I've talked to pretty much all of them behind the scenes at some capacity. And you always get that feel that, it's Big Papa that's holding us back. You know what I'm saying? Like if the people that ran Google Stadia, like the guy that founded, one of the co-founders, Dov Zimmerich, he's from IGN, he's from the gaming world. If he ran that, and I know Phil Harrison gets a lot of slack too. I don't think it was so much Phil Harrison. I think Phil Harrison was just being compliant. But I think if that Stadia team was, independent, like how Boosteroid was, and they had resources, I think you would see some great things. You would have seen some fantastic things from Stadia. And that's where those limiters, those prohibitors from the bigger shell company that doesn't understand gaming, Boosteroid doesn't run into that. You know what I mean? So there are some things that they may try that at first may just, be a little, that may have a hiccup here and there, to where a Google might say, well, no, we got to worry about our bigger Google brand, so we don't even want to dwell into there. But Boosteroid is going to say, hey, look, we're going to do it. We're going to be transparent with people. We're going to say it's like experimental, whatever. And in the long run, we'll all be better for it. And look at it. Look at the lineup. So, everything that you said was pure wisdom. Just people, but you were able to obtain that wisdom. Why, Vet? Because you tried the damn service and you researched it. You know what I mean?
I tried it. And not just tried it. I've been utilizing the service before they even had the data centers in the US.
Yeah.
So this goes back to like February of last year. I've been a member of theirs for over a year. When I heard that when the performance upgrade, well, actually it was basically when I could afford it and I didn't tell my wife. I went ahead and grabbed the annual subscription because I knew I could see something. The biggest thing that I noticed was when they made the announcement about the data centers, they were going to launch in the US. I signed up for the annual subscription, but stuff was working long before that because I live stream GTA 5, but I did the online version. My latency, and I ran a speed check to show people this. I used the browser, I used the app. My latency was like 121 milliseconds. There's no way I should have been able to have a smooth gameplay. And I had as smooth as I could get for GTA 5. And I cranked up the settings like I normally do because I'm a tech guy, so I like to push the limits to see how it responds. I had no issues. I had nothing was out of the ordinary, except the latency was super high, which to me told me, why isn't it jittery? Why isn't the gameplay all jittery all over the place? Because if GFN was that high, would have been unplayable. Xbox would have been unplayable. PlayStation doesn't give you that test, but I can tell you it would have been unplayable. Any cloud service would have been unplayable with that high of a latency issue. Yet Boosteroid was running at that point, and it was red flags all across the board. It's like, don't use this. You're going to get unstable connection. We're going to have to shut it down. And I played hours of GTA 5 online with no issues. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, I did my looks in February using Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and then back in September, all of a sudden I saw they'd upgraded all the hardware again without mentioning. It was like a shadow upgrade almost. They did it behind the scenes, and I was like, oh, so that's why the performance is better. And I can guarantee you that when that 4K tier launches, it's going to be night and day difference. It will not be on par with GFN, but it will be close.
And I see, but see, Vet, that's the pros and cons of all these platforms. None of these platforms are going to be perfect, but at least that the options are viable for you as a consumer. You know.
Yeah, that's the benefit out of all of this is you've got choices. Exactly. If one doesn't work, and we said this was when Stadia was around. If Stadia doesn't work for you, guess what? You got choices. You got Luna. You got xCloud. Exactly. You got PlayStation. You got, technically Shadow PC. There's so many options, and I get irritated with people when they're blind. They put those blinders up, and you go the one is better than the other, or well, if it doesn't have this game, it's not worth it. I'm like, I have GFN and Boosteroid as a PC gamer and a cloud gamer. That's literally all I need. I don't need anything else. I basically what GFN doesn't have, Boosteroid more than likely has.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you there. I think so. We dropped some gems today. Great that you could drop those and some wisdom. But I think this is a perfect segue into our next topic. But before that, just want to recap. FIFA 21, 22, 23 is back. LG, who seems to be exploring their own version of the Samsung Gaming Hub, is expanding and expanding to more TVs, and it looks like Boosteroid is going to be part of that. So Boosteroid isn't some love child between what's the guy that's known for the Ponzi scheme? What's his name?
Oh God, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Oh gosh. So it's not his. I know. I just drew a blank. God damn, that was going to be a great line, Vet. But it's not. It's not the love child of. Was it Bernie Madoff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't a love child of Bernie Madoff and the Ukrainian government. Okay. It's not the love child of that, and it's some Ponzi scheme. No. These are gamers, people that love gaming, that understand the technology, and they're bringing you another option. And you may not like the option altogether, but just because you like something, don't mean that you got to whiz all over the cornflakes, okay? If you're going to, there's nothing wrong with criticism. I do it all the time with these different companies. We're going to talk about some, what I feel is some fair criticism, even of my favorite platform right now, which is GFN. We're going to get me and Vet's thoughts on that. But it's based upon research and experience. And that's all we're saying. Before we do a disservice to our fellow gamers and we spread misinformation and try to quote laws that we don't even understand. We're just throwing a whole bunch of syllables out there. Get it in your hands. Be of a positive service to your cloud gaming friends and comrades. Know what you're talking about. Okay. These are just options. You don't have to like it, but you ain't got to whiz on it. All right. Shout out to, Hey, yo, says Shawnell. He made off with the money then to jail. Exactly. All right. So with that said, Vet, I'm going to go to this part of the show where we were talking about the Geforce Now Ultimate subscription. All right. So I'm going to put that on the screen. So with no further ado, Let me show you something. All right, so this is coming courtesy of CloudDosage.com. And this is very interesting because I kind of talked about this in the members section where CloudDosage is a collective of cloud gamers who look at things from different perspectives. And me personally, as far as what I like nobody's right or wrong. You like what you like. You're not wrong for what you like. You can be wrong about if you try to portray things as fact that are not fact, but you can't be wrong for what you like. And a lot of us who heard about the Geforce Now Ultimate tier being released, we jumped out of our shoes and socks. Some of us did, some of us didn't. Our good friend Jack DeSlip put out a great article on CloudDosage.com where he basically says, you know what, hey, I applaud you guys for what you're doing, but let's have a little chat. And then his op-ed, he's breaking down the problems that he's having with the UI to where, you know, where he goes into xCloud, it's a lot easier for him. And Jack is not a real big fidelity guy with the cloud, and he feels for people like him that cloud gaming is great to innovate and give you new ways to play games. And not so much the fidelity, but giving you access. Which is, you know, a sector of cloud gaming that feels that way. And I think it's reasonable for him to represent that wing of cloud gamers. I want to provide another wing's perspective on this because I think they all matter. I feel that it's important that cloud gaming, when you try to get into this, you figure out your lane because it's early on. And I think it's important to establish that lane and really perfect what you're doing in that lane. And what I think GFN has done is they said, hey, look, we're going in the fidelity lane. We're going to give you the best fidelity, the best performance possible via PC gaming. We're going to be that gap between you seeing that $1,500 GPU and you being able to play the games with that performance. And I feel like that they are at top pace with doing that, and that's their lane. There's another lane where it's about cloud gaming can give you cloud native stuff, cloud native games. We've heard Xbox, you know, working with Kojima on a cloud native game, and we heard Stadia out the gate talk about their cloud native things that they were working on too, which is great. I'm gonna get Vet's thoughts on this. This is my thoughts. To me, you got to ask yourself, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? To me, it's the chicken, because the chicken knows what to do. You know what I'm saying, Arvin? And if you want to know what to do with gaming, you got to have acceptance in the mainstream realm, right? Because when you get acceptance, then people pay for what you're offering, and then that gives you money to have the liberty to expand and do better things. So that's the chicken to me, and I think that has to come first, because people are skeptical about cloud gaming in some major ways that they won't even try it. Is it going to look good? Is it going to feel good? Is it obtainable for me? GFN and then Boosteroid is working in the same vein. They're showing you that, and they're making that possible, and I think that's great. So to me, I think that has to come first. And then once people realize that, hey, I don't have to pay for a $3,000 rig. I don't have to pay $500 for a console, not really get anything next gen, and then pay $500 again for a mid-gen refresh. I could pay a fee, a subscription fee, getting part of a platform that will give me that same output, as long as I got internet that can handle it. And you don't need that much internet. So those are my thoughts. So I'm glad to see GFN do what they're doing, because that again is the chicken, and we need the chicken that is obtainable to the crowd out there first. And the most important thing right now is acceptance. Because without acceptance, you don't get payment, and without payment, you don't flourish. Those are my thoughts. What do you think about all this? I mean, what are your overall thoughts, Vet, on what Geforce announced and what it means for cloud gaming?
I think it's fantastic. I mean, they've definitely been the gold. I've said this from the moment they launched the 3080 tier, last year, that they are the gold standard of cloud gaming. When it comes to for the most part, when it comes to latency, when it comes to the graphic quality, what you expect out of a PC game, and to make it look almost like it's not in the cloud. They have accomplished that. The only other company that I ever thought that came close to that was Stadia. I have my concerns with the 4080 series. I mean, it's fantastic that they're able to even do that. And they launched a new tier so quickly, because we know the 3080 took a while. And the 40 series GPUs themselves just came out like a couple of months ago, and now we've got them in the cloud, which still blew my mind. I was not expecting that. I thought they were going to go like a business route, and with the setting up a tier for businesses to use, which would have made more sense for a financial sense. My concern though was they did all this big announcement about the 4080 and all this, and then you see the games they launched. And then I was just like, oh, okay. I mean, that's cool. And that's always been my thing. And my biggest gripe on the 3080s, even the 3080 tier, was you don't have a whole lot to really showcase it. The general public is, we know the 3080 and especially going to be the 4080, that is geared for a specific type of gamer. That is the hardcore, the esports, the ones that play Fortnite all the time. Or I don't know, I'm sure there's other ones that I can't think of that are on GFN. That's who that is geared for. That's not geared for the just the average gamer. Or whatever. And I know they were blasting out, trying to pick up all the former Stadia fans and get them onto GFN. But still, once again, the 4080 tier is not for them. That would be your priority. I'm just like, you gave us all this power with the 4080, and then you gave us those games that clearly don't need. Now, don't get me wrong, the 4080 would make every game look better. But when you're bragging about DLSS 3 tech and all this, and AI upscaling and all that, there are barely any games that even need that. Now, if they start dropping games left and right that can utilize it, great. But there aren't a whole lot of games on there besides, I mean, Spider-Man supports DLSS 3, but those aren't on that platform. I think the real reason they did this is, and I had a friend of mine that told me this, made this statement, and I thought about it, and it made perfect sense for NVIDIA as the main company could have done this to get people to try the 48, those that can't get access, that don't have a 40 series laptop or a card. Because we know they advertised, that was another thing that NVIDIA was showcasing. New laptops, 40 series laptops, the cards. Well, what better way to get someone to try this service out and then go be like, damn, I love this. I need this graphics card, or I need a new laptop with it. And guess what they're going to do? They're going to go buy they're going to go buy a laptop or buy the card and then discontinue their service. I think this was a business marketing move if I've ever seen one. And it was it's a way to get people to see what they want, because they announced this first, the new tier, and then they said, oh, guess what? We're also got all these new 40 series laptops we're coming out with. That'll be out in March. And we got these cards that'll be coming out. And we got a new 4070 Ti card that's only $799. That's business marketing 101. I mean, that was genius the way that they did that. And I give them props, because if you ask someone, they're going to be like, oh, that's not what they're doing. But if you look further into this, that's exactly what they did. I love it. I'll try it out. It's just, there are issues that I have, that I see, that I criticize, and I'm pretty open at this point with criticizing whoever. Knows that perfectly well, because we've gotten into heat in the past with Stadia when I've criticized them, and and I don't hold back anymore. It's just not worth trying to hold back. So I criticize every platform when I see it. And I've gone after Xbox, PlayStation, Luna, GFN, Stadia back in the day. But I think that this with this GFN announcement, that's huge. That puts them even higher of a gold standard because clearly you are the best of the best.
Yeah.
But I also think that this was a sneaky marketing move on NVIDIA's part, not GFN, but on NVIDIA, because the way the announcement was handled.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. I think that's fair that you can look at this and say, because you got to think, I mean, I can imagine that the 3080 tier sessions were expensive to run. And now you're already jumping to 4080 tier. So I think that's a fair assessment or a fair takeaway.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you this much too. I am going to walk away. I'm getting a 4070 Ti. Like my wife is just going to have to roundhouse me and roundhouse me out through a window or something like that. But I'm getting a 4070 Ti. I just think that on the cloud front though, that even regardless of what their motives are, I think that Geforce now is doing more to help the growth of cloud gaming than anybody else out there right now.
Oh, hands down.
They're doing, and again, I'm not talking about offerings. I'm talking about growth. I'm telling you guys on the other end of this mic, because Vet knows this, but when we talk to our mainstream gaming friends, what are the number one things that they say? Cloud gaming doesn't look good. Cloud gaming doesn't feel good. You know what I'm saying? There's too much latency. I think the quote is that the touch to pixel latency is under 40 milliseconds. Like you have hardware, the 9th generation hardware that can't do that. That's insane. So you got to give them their props for breaking down a very important barrier. Even if we ultimately want cloud gaming to be bigger than fidelity and stuff like that, they deserve their props for breaking down one of the most important, I really say the most important barrier. The most important barrier, which leads to acceptance, was believing in the fidelity and believing in how it feels. So that's why I like it. Now, again, I'm a child of Stadia, so convenience means something to me. And I look at other platforms and I say, oh yeah, they can be more convenient. But then I look at Luna, and I love Luna. I just think, we talked about this before we went live. Luna needs to upgrade somehow. They either need to expand, drop 4K or 1440p, or do both.
Yeah.
Who else is out there? Then there's xCloud. I don't know about it. I don't know.
Don't get me started on explanations with xCloud.
Exactly. Woo. Exactly. We're trying.
xCloud and I have a rocky relationship, and it's not xCloud. I blame my rocky relationship with xCloud is blamed solely on Microsoft, and I use this every time I say that. And they're like, "Well, what do you have? What's your problem with Microsoft?" I said, "My Windows Phone. That's my problem. I miss my Lumia 950 XL that I can't use anymore because they dumped Windows 10 on it." But no, I also did some family-friendly live streams with xCloud. And these are not graphic intense games.
Yeah.
It was DC Super Pet, League of Super Pets, and The Last Kids on Earth. Neither one of those should have had an issue running in the cloud. And I'm live streaming it on YouTube, and for a few minutes it looked great, and then all of a sudden just pixelation everywhere where you couldn't even see anything. And I'm like, all right. So I went threw my BRB screen on. I installed it. I downloaded it and installed it and played it that way and just left the title the same. I was like, I can't, as a gamer, I can't showcase that. That looks terrible. Yeah. So clearly it's not just the heavy hitter games. Even the smaller ones struggle on xCloud. And that's always been my issue with that service is I've always called it garbage because it is not until the performance is good for across the board for everyone.
I want to show something.
And I don't even like calling it garbage, but it's clearly a beta service that is not that good. Amazon Luna might be locked to the US only right now, but it looks 100 times better than.
Exactly. Here, let me
PlayStation's been around for a decade, and they're night and day difference.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, I'm disappointed at Xbox because when I started doing YouTube in 2017, I was a fanboy. I was an Xbox fanboy, undoubtedly. I used to hate PlayStation. But under this new regime, I started seeing things like, you know, every year they would say at an E3, this is going to be our best year yet. And they didn't come with any games. Then they said, you know, the Xbox One X is going to revolutionize gaming for years, and here it became obsolete in like 2.5 years. And that's a $500 console. Then with the Xbox Series X, you know, you can't have a next generation console without VR, and then they dumped VR. Then they said xCloud is going to release retail alongside of Xbox Series X, and then I didn't. So there's just this constant, and then now you had 2022 go, and they really didn't come through on the games front, and xCloud is at the bottom of the barrel as far as technology is concerned against everybody. Well, you were talking the biggest.
Microsoft showed their true colors with xCloud.
Yeah.
They was like, cloud gaming's not the future. xCloud was just a project we were testing. And now I get the reason behind that was a deal they're trying to work on, but still what does that tell the general public when you come out and you're all about cloud, and then you 360 and be like, well, this was just a project we were doing. It doesn't mean anything. We don't care about cloud. That's not going to ever take the place of consoles.
It would be different.
You just It
would be different if they didn't have the history that they had of constantly saying A, but B being the result. But that just solidifies it that you kept like the thing that killed me on the cloud front was, oh, we're not powered by Azure, but then they got all these advertisements everywhere. We're powered by Azure. Now, I don't think that you're going to lie to the regulators, but that means that you were lying to the consumers. Now, if you look on the PlayStation side, PlayStation is whining about Call of Duty, and I don't think that everything PlayStation is saying is accurate about Call of Duty. It's just they're trying to make an argument against a competitor. But see, PlayStation has a legacy of saying and producing. You know what I mean? So you can just look at this little snippet of what they're saying and what they're doing and whining about Call of Duty and be like, that's just them trying to throw a monkey wrench into it.
If you think about look at that with what PlayStation did though. Mm-hmm. They whined, they complained, regardless of what the issues were, whether they were, some of them, the complaints were true, some were probably just BS. Yeah. But what it did is it got Xbox to put the foot in their mouth.
Yeah. Oh.
It got Microsoft to open up and get their foot in their mouth and tell the European side one thing. They told the US one side, and neither story was accurate, and now they're about to lose the deal.
And
so ultimately, PlayStation won out. I think Sony knew exactly what they were doing. They didn't even have to really go after this. I don't even think they really cared about losing it. It was the fact is that they poked enough at the fire to get Microsoft.
They antagonized them enough. Yeah, they antagonized them enough to set their own trap. Oh yeah, I mean, look, I was just having a conversation with somebody, and I just can't believe I put a tweet out there. I can't believe that Xbox. Okay, so all right, let me give you an example. Oh no, I'll say Xbox said to the FTC, the people that they need to approve this deal, the regulators, so they can go through with this deal. They told the FTC that what you're doing, did you not only what you're doing, but your whole existence is unconstitutional. So, Vet, I want to come to your house because I hear you have the best cookouts in the world, right? So I want to come to Vet's house. And Vet is like, you know what, MM2K? I kind of hear that you're sloppy. You take your shoes out your socks, and you take your feet out your shoes and socks. You put them on people's kitchen's table. You start plucking the gook out of them. You're farting all in front of the kids. I heard you're a nasty dude, man. I don't want this around my cookout. And I go to Vet and I say, oh, Vet, you just don't like me because I beat you at a poker game last week. You're a jackass, and you're a cheater, and you don't know how to play cards. So you're gonna let me in? Like, Vet's looking at me like, you don't turn the frick around and get away from my house, conversation's over. And that's essentially what Microsoft did. So I can see where you're coming from. Again, I think that's the fair assessment that PlayStation just poked the bear enough over Call of Duty to get Xbox to expose itself. And Jesus, unconstitutional? What? Why would you even make that argument? Again, to somebody that you need to approve this deal. So with that said, we don't have the highest hopes in Microsoft because in my experience, what they say, but that's us. That we don't talk for cloud. I mean, the majority of cloud, well, me personally, the majority of CloudDosage loves Xbox. Everybody. I feel like I'm on an
I'm not
island.
one of them either.
Yeah, it seems like every time we say something about Xbox, everyone just goes like, there they go again, and they walk away from us, and it's just me and you, right?
Yep.
I want to put something on the screen, Vet, and I want to get your thoughts on this, and then we can move on. And hopefully, because I shared my screen, so this is like a little spreadsheet that I made, and I want to show it's something that I was working on since Stadia, where I was measuring where people play games, and why people were selecting cloud over hardware. And so one of the things that we understood was that the majority of cloud people preferred convenience. And that's why Stadia was doing so well. But right after that is performance, and then cost, and then availability. So I created a new sheet looking at all the cloud services, or not all of them, all the major ones right now. Now, this is just me personally. This is my opinion. As someone who if you're someone that holds Stadia as a standard bearer, I kind of rated Stadia, and then I looked at what everybody else was doing to say, hey, look, this is what I think Stadia, this is who I think comes closest overall to what Stadia was providing. So convenience, I think Stadia was like 4.5 out of 5. Performance was 4, cost was 4, and availability was 3.5. And what I mean by availability is your ability to go anywhere and play it, like go on a laptop or whatever. I gave them 3.5 out of 5. No. I'm sorry. No. Availability is how many countries, how many locations you were in. I'm sorry. I'm getting my own measurement. So I gave them 3.5 out of 5. All right, but that's just me. That's how I rated Stadia. But I think when I'm looking at these other platforms, like and that averaged out to a 4 out of 5. That's just me. But even if you take Stadia out of the mix and you look at what xCloud is doing, GFN Ultimate, Amazon Luna in the same regards, everybody's outperforming xCloud to me. Like, the convenience is there because you can go into your games fairly easy, but there's queues and stuff like that. And then, go ahead, Vet. What are you going to say? Go ahead, brother.
No, I was going to say with the convenience, my issue with xCloud has always been, I like the web app, but this is Microsoft always pushes the app, the actual Windows app.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. You're locking two different operating systems completely out of it, and it's the old Microsoft monopoly with Windows. Like, it brings back fond memories of Internet Explorer. Yeah. Back in that day, which shows my age, but I remember that still, and those issues. So I don't like the fact that they preach, well, we got it on the web, and but we really want you to use the PC app. Mm-hmm. Well, what does that mean? What if I'm a Mac owner or a Chromebook owner? You don't have them. I have to use the web. And if the app is more optimized, what does that do? That doesn't benefit me. I'm left out. Or you're telling me that I need to get rid of my $2,000, laptop and go buy a Windows computer. That's, once again, marketing. Microsoft knows what they're doing. Yep. It always comes down to business and marketing.
Yep. I got something for you in that regards, because what you're talking about, I actually spliced out into another section. And also, let me add here too. I don't think it's fair for me to say these are the major services and I don't have Boosteroid here. But I don't have Boosteroid here because I haven't had enough time to do that. So what I'm going to do is when we get to the end of this, I'm going to ask Vet to help me rate Boosteroid. So, you know what I'm saying, to put that there so we can have something there for Boosteroid. But it wasn't fair for me to do it because I really don't have an access to it all like that. But GFN, I mean, I get the UI is kind of messed up, so I kind of gave them a 3, but I think they've gotten better. I mean, it might be more fair for me to rank them higher. Once you sync it up, like if you could sync your game up like Ubisoft, Steam or whatever, I get that if you're playing an Epic Games game and then you're doing it on a TV or you're doing it on a touchscreen device, it could be, you know, a problem.
That's one of the biggest. That's the one complaint.
Yeah.
That I've seen people say is the lack of a Epic Steam or an Epic Sync.
Exactly.
They added Ubisoft now, so you got Ubisoft, you got Steam, and Epic is just like, So it's still a pain, and I'm not really. I think they've done some improvements organizational wise with the UI, but it's still not where I'd like to see it.
So if we were to put Boosteroid here, Vet, where would you rate the convenience out of 5?
And convenience is where you can play it.
Like, yeah, like how fast you can, how easy the UI is.
To play wise,
get into game. And
I'd almost, like I'd put it at a 3.75.
Okay.
Because it being PC, I've seen that some people complaints that when you access it on Android TVs, it still pops up the login for Steam or something. I don't seem to have that issue. Now, when I log in, it goes to Steam and I just type the game in and hit play. I haven't had that issue myself on my Shield TV Pro, but I know there are people that have had it. So I don't want to give it a 4 or anything. Yeah. That's why I stuck with the 3, because it is convenient, but there are some things that they can work on.
Now, what would you give it for performance?
I put it at a 4.
4.
Yeah. Because it's like I said, it's not on par, obviously, with the GFN Ultimate tier now. Yeah. And it's close to the 3080s quality. Okay. But you know, it really comes down to the internet and other factors too. But the performance I stream, the only reason I know it's not the same quality as GFN on the 3080s just because I know the hardware that they're using and I know what GFN's using. So it's a little bit downgraded versus GFN, so which makes sense because NVIDIA sold them the tech. So yeah, but yeah, I would go with the 4 cost.
Exactly.
I put that at a.
Which I don't think a lot. For cost, what do you put it at a 5? 5.
I would put. Well, no, put it at 4.5. 4.5 because one of the complaints that people have is they don't have a free tier. I get that, but it's $10 a month. But what sets them apart is they have an annual subscription, and that's what I like.
Gotcha. Okay. So on that annual subscription, let me just ask for those that don't know, like me, is the annual subscription the same price as is it like 12 times the month subscription, or is there a discount?
I believe there's a discount. When I signed up for it, it was like 96 and change with the conversion rate.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a discount.
It's under $100 for a year, so it's not even.
Oh, yeah. Well, then I think
because it's like $9.90. It's $9 and change a month. I just always ballpark it and say it's $10 a month, but it's like 9 and change when you convert it, and it's like 96 and change for a year, and which is why I give it a 4.5, only because I think there are people that would love it as a free tier as well, and that's not something they see it, they just don't want to go that route right now because they've got other things that they're working on.
So if you do it, so it's like, I think Boosteroid, when you put it in USD, it's $10 a month. It's $9.99, right?
Yeah.
And then so 10 times 12 is 120. So yeah, you're getting a discount. That's I can't. I mean, I can't really argue.
I love annual subscriptions. That was one thing I wish Stadia had.
Yeah.
They were never doing 6 months, so that's kind of nice. But
they were never doing that. Yeah.
Really, the only ones that offer you that annual subscription are PlayStation's Cloud service and Boosteroid. Availability, I'd put that at a 4.5.
Okay.
I mean, it's available probably everywhere that GFN is. There might be a few places that it's available that GFN doesn't have. Okay. But I don't know all the overseas countries. I mean, I could probably ask.
Okay.
But you've got the US, you've got Mexico, you've got Canada. Obviously, you got Europe. I know there are people that played in Germany. So I would go with a 4.25 maybe. Okay. That might sound a little bit better, just because I don't know the Europe side of things. How many countries over there?
Yeah. Okay. Got you. No, I think that's fair. I can put catalog in there later. So that's just section 1. Here, let me do this. Let me average this out. Average. There we go. All right, so that's like a 4.120. All right, cool. Now, I won't ask you to do this but I just wanted to put the comparison in there. Going into, and when you add some more things in there, why I criticize Xbox so much, not to hate on it, but to say, look, you guys can do better. Because they're the only group out of everybody that I've talked to where I'm not asked, well, how can we do better? It's like, this is what we're doing, deal with it. When you add portability in there, that's what I think you were talking about before, where, like, for instance, all these other platforms, you can play on any type of Android stick, even the $10 O&N Android sticks, except for xCloud. xCloud is the only one.
And technically Luna as well, although I did find a workaround with that one.
Oh,
but they don't have an app. They don't have an app for Luna. There's not unless if it's Fire Stick or Fire TV, it's built in. But if you have Android TV, there is no Amazon Luna app that you can download. But if you put a browser on there, you can access it via the browser, web app. Which I shared that. I shared a video of it, and someone said this was very painful to watch, and I said, my bad. He appreciated the video and that you could find a way to do it. He just said my camera view was. I said, yeah, I know. I was in my room, wife asleep, trying to videotape this, hold the camera, and use a controller. I said, so apologies for the jankiness of that.
So that, but you said there's still a fair workaround.
Yeah, there's still a way to. There's a workaround.
So we'll give it a 3.5 because it's available on.
There's I found an Android app that does xCloud, but it's outdated. So the moment Xbox updates something, you're out of luck, and you're not gonna be able to take advantage of things. That's my issue with Xbox also. So I agree with that. Like I said, that 2.5. Yeah,
I've tried to sideload xCloud. It just doesn't work. It's just a horrendous experience.
It's a pain.
It's a pain,
and it looks it looks worse.
Yeah, it looks horrible. So when you add portability in there, I think the gap does it get bigger? Yeah, the gap actually gets bigger because the portability is, out of all the cloud platforms, when you talk about Phil Spencer saying, I don't have to sell you a console, it's the least portable out of all the cloud platforms. And then I add innovative execution in here. This is the last part where innovative execution is picking your lane on the cloud gaming side, like whether you're going to be doing fidelity, whether you're going to be doing cloud innovative stuff, or whether you're going to do a balance of both. I would say that Stadia was trying to do a balance of both, and they were executing pretty well on that. Yeah, and they were going to do better, but then they shut down. Again, I give xCloud the lowest marks because even though they say they're going to do cloud native games, we have a history under this regime since 2013, a 10-year history that until you see it, it's vaporware. So you got to look at what they're currently doing. They don't have the best performance. Yes, they may have some games that come in through Game Pass that people enjoy or like, but those games are swappable and they have no way for you to play your individual purchases like they promised. What did they tell you, Vet? That was coming at the end of 2022.
Yeah, along with the Project Keystone, but all of that got scrapped the moment they they had to scrap all that as soon as they tried to go after Activision to get that. They scrapped everything and said cloud's not the future.
So Amazon,
they lost a lot of credibility with me. The
dude,
in the tank. I would have given them way higher for innovative execution, but I've seen more from Sony with getting a cloud native game.
Yeah.
More than I believe Sony will get one done long before Microsoft is on board with that.
Look, even though Microsoft loves to announce stuff first, like they announced all their cloud aspirations before Stadia, who executed better as far as actually what you got to play in your hand. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah, Stadia did. I mean, they got the announcement in June. They got it out before Microsoft, and even when they released it, Stadia still ran laps around xCloud.
Yeah,
the performance is terrible now, but they're in shutdown mode. Mm-hmm. If it wasn't in shutdown mode, it would still be night and day difference.
Yeah.
The day before they announced the shutdown, it was still running laps around xCloud.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and
I've got friends. A good friend of mine. He used to be Stadia programming. He's Simply Pawn Gaming. Yeah. But when Stadia made its announcement, he shifted to Xbox. Well, he was doing a lot xCloud initially.
Yeah.
And that lasted for about a week. And now he basically does PC. He also bought a 4090, so I don't blame him for doing being a PC gamer.
Exactly.
He builds a whole system. But he showcased the fact that xCloud is not ready for the mainstream.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And again, if you like xCloud, this is not a way to shame you. I'm just saying when we look at overall, because the title of this, or on the thumbnail I have there, who's the king of the cloud? And when I say the king of the cloud, I'm meaning who is really pushing cloud gaming forward the most with their assets. I mean, I personally would argue GFN, but Vet would probably argue Boosteroid because they have a great balance and the catalog is just killer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean I would put I think it's a tie, to be honest, with GFN and Boosteroid. Mm-hmm. Both are pushing, they're going a different path, but they're both pushing what people want. GFN's pushing the hardware side of things.
Yep.
And they're still adding games, but not what people want. And I understand
and that's
the reasoning behind it. Boosteroid's got, GFN is over 1,500 games now. Yep. Boosteroid's got probably half that. But if you look at the catalog, it's what people want to play. FIFA, WWE 2K, NBA 2K23. I've played that in the cloud on Boosteroid. Runs great. I won't live stream it because I don't want to show people how bad I am at that game.
Yeah.
But that's what people want. And that's what sets them apart. For me, what I've seen is they listen. They listen to the community. Yeah. They're very good at listening and responding quick. I mean, there might be a little bit of a delay, but once again, that's a time zone thing. Yep. That's like with my emails. I could send an email at 8 a.m. I'll get a response that day. But if I wait too long, the time zone difference means I'll get a response at like 3 a.m. when I'm snoozing. Yeah. But they listen, where GFN kind of does, but not really. Yeah, yeah. Like Xbox won't even know who you are. PlayStation won't know who you are. Yeah. Yeah. Luna's is another one that's really good at listening to the community. Yeah. So I give them props for that too. But I think the Kings, in my opinion, is GFN and Boosteroid at a tie. Yeah. And I get where, and I think it's very important to keep this focus. Is I get where it's like, look, let's not just regulate cloud gaming to performance. Cloud gaming was supposed to have this AI where 10 people can build the game the size of WoW. There's going to be cloud native games. Like, cloud gaming is bigger than just giving you access to what we already have. I totally agree with that. I think there's phases to this. And I think acceptance is the chicken that comes before the egg phase. And I think that GFN is doing great at that. With that being said, I still want to see people behind the scenes working on native, cloud native games. And GFN has expressed that that's not really their thing. But let me ask you a question, Vet. I was just thinking about this earlier. I want to get your thoughts on this. Yeah. And then we can wrap up. We can wrap up because really, opposite of GFN and Boosteroid, I don't really think there's any other news that pertains to. No, not really.
Exactly. But my question for you is, do you see a future where GFN partners with somebody? Because there's people, there's developers out there, not just Kojima, but other people that said they want to build cloud native games, but you would need an infrastructure to do that. So do you see a future where GFN could possibly partner with these people that want to build cloud native games, or they partner with somebody capable of at least building the cloud game infrastructure, and GFN or Boosteroid just delivers the product to people?
The gaming fan in me, the gamer in me, would say yes, but looking at the way the things are, the way the business, these companies are run, I have to go with a no. With GFN, I don't see that, because NVIDIA doesn't do that. They're not a gaming. They are a gaming company in essence, but they're hardware. Yeah, I don't just see them. Delivery. I don't see them shifting to something else that they're not. That's not their expertise. I could see Microsoft doing that. I could see Sony doing that. I honestly, if we were talking PC, I would probably see Boosteroid has a better shot of doing that than GFN, because Boosteroid can just be like, hey, look, this is what we're working with. Let's work something out and get this and that would be a great expansion. But unfortunately, I know I've heard a lot of people ask that about, well, why doesn't GFN do this and that? And I said, if you look at it, it's because it's NVIDIA controls it. NVIDIA is a hardware company. They're not going to shift into that would have to shift their entire perceptive and their business model, go from hardware to gaming. And we saw how that worked out for Google. Google is a hardware company and hardware / kind of software. But look what happened when they tried to get into gaming. Now, GFN's or NVIDIA's got partnerships everywhere, but I don't think that they want to try to divert all of that into something completely different area. So they wouldn't spearhead it, but it'd be great if that could. So if you cloud gaming developers are out, you know what would be dope though? Here's what would be dope: if somehow through Unreal Engine 5 they build a cloud gaming wing, to where if you want to develop a game through the cloud, you do it on Unreal Engine 5, and we already know that Unreal has a strong bond. I can see that. Has a really strong bond. Real quick, since you brought up Unreal, and which ties in with Epic, Epic is working with Sony and Honda to build a car powered by the Unreal Engine. Oh wow, Jesus Christ! I caught Dr. Spaceman, and I caught that when I was sharing the Sony CS. It's a Sony PlayStation car. I mean, the front end if anybody's, I'm gonna really show my age here, but Knight Rider. For those that out there in the world remember Knight Rider with the kit, with the car that had the little thing in the front. Sony has one as well, but it has over 500 cameras built into this car with AI tech for all of it. I mean, it blew my mind. I was like, oh, I want that car now. Now I got to convince my wife to let me buy a 70. They didn't announce a price, but I'm sure it's going to be over 50 grand. So I'm gonna have to figure a way to convince my wife to let me buy a PlayStation car. But it had PlayStation 5 built into the car. There were screens, I mean, and then they brought out what amazed me, not so much that, but then they brought out the head of Epic, and saying that they partnered with Epic, and they're basically building the tech in it is going to be built off of the Unreal Engine. And I was like, holy cow. Yeah, that's amazing. It's amazing. Well, some wishful thinking from a gamer, but I mean, you look at this tech, and then and Boosteroid is looking to put out something similar. I would love to see somebody house the infrastructure for cloud gaming development, and then just partner with Boosteroid or what's it called? Because Dusty Oran just put it in the chat. He says if Xbox and Kojima are making a cloud native game, they better step up the tech. Like this. Well, let's not forget Jade Raymond and PlayStation. Jade Raymond literally was the one that had the cloud game, the native cloud game. That was going to be for Stadia. Until they shut it down, and she's moving up the ranks really fast with PlayStation, and so at some point they're going to have the first cloud native game. That is right. They bought Haven. Didn't PlayStation buy Haven? Yep. Haven Studio is PlayStation. Jade Raymond is there. And that's one of the projects they've been working on is a cloud native game. So Sony will probably get it done well before Microsoft does it. Well, that's unfortunate because Microsoft could get it done.
Let me throw this out there. We've talked about it a lot on this channel, and then we can I'll get your thoughts and then we'll wrap up.
Okay.
There is a huge rumor for some very credible sources. These are people that helped me realize that kind of came like thieves in the night and said, hey, MM2K, guess what? Google is invested in this, the load porting tool before I even knew what the hell it was. So we reported on it before then, gave us a lot of other information about bring your own game services where Xbox was essentially doing what Luna's doing as far as letting you play your Ubisoft games independently. They were going to spread that. So there's a rumor that a large the majority of the reason why Stadia was shut down is because there's this impending deal or exploration of it where the tech is going to go to the likes of companies like PlayStation, just a handful of companies. And I'm not sure who the companies are. But if that's true, and Jade Raymond already has access or has already have experience with the Stadia tech, and it's going to be in the hands of PlayStation, and they're going to be building this cloud native game off that tech, and they're going to fully realize that tech. That's huge. That's huge. And I would put PlayStation in a very, very, very huge position. You know what I mean? So, I mean, what do you think about that?
I've heard that. I've heard that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk, Dr. Spaceman and I talk a lot because he's got a PlayStation podcast, but a lot of our Cloud Nation stuff was built around PlayStation, the console and initially the cloud. But yeah, I would say take it with a grain of salt right now, but I can bet you that will probably is what's going to happen. They may not say it's the old Stadia tech, but if you can, all you got to do is connect the dots, and you look at what happened with Stadia. These rumors, Stadia shutting down because they're going to sell the tech off. That's a business thing that Google was already talking about doing with the white label and all that. And Sony's got Jade Raymond, who's moved up the ranks. Like she basically the head honcho there. Almost in essence, she's already made it perfectly clear when Sony got them over there and gave her a studio, it was to build a cloud native game. I could see the stars aligning, the PlayStation stars aligning, because you're going to see that a game like that launch in the cloud, and that's when Sony's going to be like, hey, guess what? Also, here's the PlayStation Cloud app that's going to be working with. It's going to be available on Windows. It's going to be available on Mac. It's going to be available on, pretty much everywhere. Yep. And I also think that Sony could team up with Apple as well. They've already got a really good working relationship. Apple's got a great relationship with Sony. They're using Sony cameras in their phones now. So this could be a trilateral thing where Sony gets access to that cloud tech from Stadia or from Google, partners with Apple, and just expands everywhere. So I would just say stay tuned or watch Playing in the Stars on Monday nights on Dr. Spaceman's Twitch channel, or just look for my tweets on it because he does a lot with the PlayStation stuff. So if you're interested in that, you can check that out, or I'm probably here as well because we know who the PlayStation fans are. And if you're an Xbox fan, check it out anyways because I want to be able to poke the fire. I don't say what I say to say Xbox is incompetent and hate. No, if you love Xbox, you love Xbox. I'm just saying, please be cautious of falling for the rhetoric. Please. Been following this company. And I love Xbox. xCloud gave me the ability to play MLB, the show in the on my PC because I didn't have a PlayStation at the time and I didn't have an Xbox, so I could play it on my computer and I loved it. So it has its benefits. It just needs to get better, which means Microsoft needs to step it up.
Yeah, Microsoft has. Yes, they have to step it up across the board. I mean, you know, you look at Halo Infinite, you look at flagship titles, you look at Game Pass underperforming and them trying to step away from that. You just look at a lot of stuff, and you got to look at this regime. And I don't know if they're focused on quality. Like PlayStation has so much pride in what they do, and it follows through in their product. Like I used to do a show called The Best Damn Podcast, and we were honored to have Dave Jaffe on there a couple of times. And Dave Jaffe broke it down to us because it was during a time where he was making fun of Xbox, but he loved Game Pass. And he said, look, the thing is with Xbox is their management. They don't, their execution is poor when it comes to managing these games. He said, when you were doing bad at a game that had the PlayStation name on it, PlayStation sent people to you. He said they could care if you were in a crap in a hole in the wall hotel or motel. They sent people to you and said, look, this is falling behind. What do we need to do to help you? Callisto Protocol is another example. Sony sent like 150 different technicians to make that game look a certain way, and it looks better on, or Digital Foundry did analysis, and correct me if I'm wrong, the analysis has the game looking and performing better on PlayStation than it does the world's most powerful console. Like PlayStation just has pride to their name, and we just need this new regime under Xbox to do the same.
I don't want to come out as an Xbox hater. Yeah, I have issues with Microsoft that I made that clear. But the thing that concerns me with Xbox and even xCloud is, like you said, it's management. But how do you manage? What have they done in the last 2 years? They've been buying up studios left and right, so they own. They're trying to own everything, but that also makes it harder to manage and get good quality games. It's one thing to fill your library up. That's great. You got 300 some games or 400 or 500. If half of them are indie titles or old games from, several years ago, that's fine and dandy. I mean, but if the point is to push the innovation and get the newer games out and things like that, they're not going to be able to do that when you have like 100 studios you own and trying to manage everything. I like that. It seems impossible. I don't know how they're going to be able to do it. I think that's going to be, that to me will be their downfall. If they fail, it's not going to be it didn't work or the tech or any of this. It's going to be the fact that they just couldn't manage the sheer amount of studios that caused them to fall apart.
And that's why two things when it comes to this ABK deal. That's why I don't want it to go through. I'm very transparent about that, because if you're telling me with 23 studios, you can't compete, well, you're literally just getting your ass beat by 4 studios, Naughty Dog, Santa Monica, Insomniac, and Gorilla. That's basically who's whooping your ass. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You got 23 studios. You can't compete against 4. Why do I want you taking more studios that know how to make games and put them under your poor management? For one, and for two, I'm totally with you. I think the thing that's ultimately going to hurt them is the lack of management. And what are they going to do to just do better in that arena? Like, I think David Jaffe crystallized it. The creator of God of War, he said, it's the management that it's not improving. So if the management doesn't improve, why do you expect the games to be better?
And that is a Microsoft problem that carries across the company, all across the company, because look what happened when they were in the phone business. What they do, they bought out Nokia because Nokia was the best. And look what happened. They bought Nokia and they fell apart. And destroyed that company. And I'm not saying they destroy everything they touch, but they can't manage. They did destroy Windows, so
Microsoft,
and they clearly can't put together Windows operating system, because that's a story. That's a whole podcast.
Microsoft has flashes of innovations, and they do some things here and there, but they're notorious for gobbling up things that are successful, and they just fizzle out. You know what I'm saying? My brother used to be VP at a company called Starlink or Starfield. I can't remember. It was a local company, and they had provided the best internet in the country. And Microsoft, I think, bought up Netscape. The Netscape bought them up.
I remember Netscape.
Yeah.
I remember Netscape.
Yeah. So it's just, it's a mess with them. And we just want them to get better.
I will throw this last bit into, for those that like PlayStation, have PlayStation Plus Premium. If you play on your PC, you can play WWE 2K22 because that was one of the games that was added.
Okay, cool.
Along with, I think, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, Fallout 76, and Axiom Verge 2. I believe those are on there, but I know WWE 2K22 is because a friend of mine, Anthony, or as everyone knows him as the Cowboy, is trying to set stuff up, but I mentioned that to him. So it is available in 2 places now.
Yeah, we definitely I want to see 60 frames per second from them consistently, and that's where I think they're going to build up that infrastructure, and that's where that whole Stadia rumor comes in. So we'll see how things go. So, but no, that's cool news. That's cool news. All right, well, we talked about a lot this week. Vet, thank you for coming through, man. Can you do us a huge favor and let the good people know where they can find you at, good brother?
You guys can find me at VetCloud Gaming on YouTube and on Twitter. I also have a Facebook gaming page where I post stuff, but the majority of my stuff is on YouTube and Twitter. I use the community tab on YouTube every now and then, but mostly I just throw my posts up there. You can also find me in the subreddit over on Boosteroid subreddit. I do that, or on Discord. My links are on my page. You can check it out there. I don't do a schedule anymore because it doesn't. Schedules and vet don't work together.
Yeah. Yep.
It don't work. So all I would say is go to my page, subscribe, and make sure the notifications are on. That way you know when I go live.
Awesome. Yep. And you guys know where you can find me. You can find me here, CloudDosage. You can also find me over at Hard Knock Digital Culture, where we do hardcore gaming, hardcore anime, hardcore martial arts cinema and shows. That's twitch.tv/MightyMost2000. It was HNDC.live, but they keep messing up my subdomain. So just go to twitch.tv/MightyMost2000. And you can catch me at MM2K Gaming on YouTube, where we do hardcore gaming talk and streams. So that's it for today. I want to thank our special guest, VetCloud Gaming. There's more to come. We talk about it in the members section. We'll talk about it soon when we're ready. There's more to come. Appreciate everybody. Thank you so much. And until next time, have a wonderful, wonderful gaming day. Peace.
Yeah.